And welcome back, everybody, to another edition here of the Man of Steel podcast. Me, Charles Prodigy Ritchie, as I am back fully in week action, as mentioned. Of course, yesterday coming back following the Memorial Day holiday, but am back here once again to get into a few interesting topics right here, as we are still in the off season, especially around OTAs and everything. Seems to be a lot of good vibes surrounding the team so far. So good team chemistry. Much more with the young nucleus of this team right now, who's looking to make the transition from guys like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Steelers team is definitely clearly on a mission right now, trying to right some of the wrongs of what led up to them not being in the playoffs. It almost seems like the message is getting loud and clear so far, and everyone seems to be all in at this point. So we'll find out how it is, and we shall see. But again, at this point, we are getting ready to get into some fun and exciting stuff, as I mentioned on this edition, as I'm going to be starting off with a new segment I'm introducing. I'm going to try and test out right now. Whistle or non-whistle? We got a few interesting topics coming in here, more so on the offense, and also where the Steelers are ranked as far as AFC North Division grades. Also, got some interesting stuff to get in on TJ Watt right now. He's be entering his third season. Obviously, he's taking more steps in a leadership role. See how he continues to develop and continues to mature. And it just keeps getting better and better, as evident by his 2 seasons. Then, of course, James Conner making an interesting supporting statement about the running back situation. And like I said, right now the theme so far for this Steelers offseason, since moving on from big key name stars all in, and that's what we want to be. As again, if you guys want, feel free and dial up the studio line. The number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Ritchie. You can also check out on Instagram, Meta Steel Nation. Then, of course, you can check out my YouTube channel, Meta Steel Podcast. Of course, you want to find me on Facebook. You do a couple of ways. You could do Meta Steel Podcast, or you can type in at Meta Steel Nation. That's the search icon. You'll bump right to my page. It's me right there, my profile logo right there with the symbol of the guy ripping off a shirt, having the Pittsburgh logo, and that's where we're all about to get in. That's all coming in within the heart right now. So again, if you, like I said, you want to feel free to leave your comments, feel free to hit the like, share, or leave me some comments throughout this podcast. Tell me if you guys got any additional comments, you agree or disagree, and we'll keep it from there. Well, like I said, it's definitely still some fun times happening right now as we look at this all season. Definitely a lot of fresh energy happening at this point in time as we look at it. And of course, one of the things I want to start off with is Donte Moncrief right now, who's joined the Steelers for the first time in his career, as he has came over from the Jacksonville Jaguars a year ago. But I mean, he didn't really have much of an Andrew Luck to count on too when he was in Indianapolis, except maybe barely for not even 2 seasons. Donte Moncrief, he's definitely going to be an interesting piece on this offense when we take a look at it. I mean, a lot of people are liking the style of him so far, as he is going into his 6th season. As we take a look overall his career statistics, his career high was in 2015, his second year, where he had 733 receiving yards and was averaging about 11.5 yards per reception with 6 touchdowns, but his career grabs and touchdowns came in the 2016 season where he had 7 touchdowns. And so far, his longest reception that he's ever caught, believe it or not, in Jacksonville. And I'm not too sure if that was from Blake Bortles at all sometime last year. But I definitely got a feel right now, where is he going to be? Is he going to be one of those guys that definitely helps out in that offense, where he fits in? How Randy Fichtner is going to be able to continue to implement this? But I got to believe right now, I'm really liking the whole theme here so far. I mean, just all guys about just doing their job. I'm on both sides of the ball, 11 guys in the field. And that just seems to continue to be like the model standard that a lot of guys want to be following here. And I can't say I blame anyone at this point in time. And it's definitely right now some fun. It's fresh. It's unique. The only question is, what's it going to be like with Mike Tomlin, who has never experienced a losing record? Still a lot of doubts. Even still, despite the fact that they got their first-round draft pick in Devin Bush at number 10, and some of the acquisitions you made, they did a pretty solid draft. But then, like I said, you also got to remember, too, they got Steven Nelson, you got Mark Barron on your defense. I was covering that yesterday, and I was just warning a few little people on a guy like a Steven Nelson. Not that he's not going to be a good corner, I think, for the Steelers, but again, when you look at how Andy Reid's defense in Kansas City was doing the last few years, I got a little bit pause for concern at that point in time, especially considering last year. I mean, they were more a defensive-driven team, yet they were still tied with the Steelers for sacks in the league at that point in time. I mean, you had number 31 ranked total defense in that year. 2017, there were 3 spots better at 28. And then, of course, in 2016, 24th. So, again, I think you definitely got some questions right there. It almost sounds like it's in the high 20s. But, again, what kind of roles you see him filling in right now? Is he going to be the guy that gives Joe Hayden a lot of relief? I mean, shoot, what about the other guys that are drafted on this team right now? When you really look at it and start to pick your brain and see where you got to keep things up. I mean, at the same time, when you look at who they got, look at the defensive back we got. Justin Lane, number 83, right here. I think that's gonna be an interesting one. Like I said, me personally, I'm hoping he turns out like a John Banaszak type of deal, where he's definitely a guy who liked the Cleveland Browns growing up, him and his dad. But now he's part of the Steeler tradition right now coming up. What he's getting ready to get in store for. Let's see what he does. And I'm hoping it works out that way for him. I definitely feel like that's going to be an interesting thing. I hope that's one of the ways they can turn that thing into big-time gold at this point in time. Also, before we get a little bit further to this podcast, I want to do a little quick happy birthday shout-out to one of my cousins, Rob. Right now, I just want to say a big happy birthday to you, my man. Always a pleasure and honor calling you my cousin and family member, as well, best friend. And definitely a great pleasure knowing you. Today's your day. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having a blessed one. And stay golden, my friend. Another diehard Steeler who I love to talk with every now and then. Definitely keeps the company going, and definitely one thing. So, again, you guys want to feel free to chime in and leave your thoughts and comments. Again, the number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. You can also check out my YouTube channel, the Men of Steel Podcast, as well as Instagram, Men of Steel Nation. And yeah, I mean, Donte Moncrief, I think it's definitely going to be a work in progress with him. It's definitely going to be an interesting experiment. But I mean, at the same time, too, I wonder how much is he going to be more effective in that, too. I mean, is he going to be one of the guys that helps mentor a guy like a James Washington, who's getting ready to enter his second year at this point in time? I think those are things to consider right there when you like somewhat of a veteran presence in the Moncrief. You gotta feel like James Washington, who struggled to be in shape last year, and like I said yesterday, he even admitted that he was not in the best shape that he thought he was. A lot of players and pretty much coaches pretty much called him out on that. And of course, look at what happened. He definitely had some struggling drops. But like I said, I mean, that's one of the beefs I have with the Steelers, too, at times when you don't get a little bit aggressive enough in free agency or trades, this winds up happening. And like I always keep saying to a lot of people, time and patience will be tested. And you see that. But at the same time, too, they definitely seem to have definitely a good game plan no matter what. It's a good formula that's worked for a lot of years. But when you're trying to win a championship, I always keep saying, you either want to build for the future or you want to be in win now mode. And I think that's where the Steelers have to start drawing the line right now. And you have to capitalize on this time that you got Ben Roethlisberger for another 3 more seasons at this point in time. I mean, people are always going to be the first to remind that he is a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. But a good friend of mine, Rose, also mentioned to me too, that has also been well over a decade. That does start to wear out and that does start to get old at some point in time. And I will definitely agree with him on that. I mean, if anything, where you do start to question some things with that is, where is he going to be at in a leader role? I mean, that's definitely a serious thing. He has serious accusation on him. And that's one of the things I feel like where he's definitely got to be a little bit more better accountable. And he's definitely been waking up and pretty much doing a lot of things that Antonio Brown's criticized him of doing. You know, not being personable with some of the guys or hanging out a little bit. I mean, and you see him already doing some stuff in the offseason already. And that's where I feel like Ben Roethlisberger's got to continue to build that trust, build that rapport. When you have a relationship like that, I mean, not just within your teammates or former teammates, it doesn't matter. People are going to still look at you as a guy who has power, and how are you trying to use it for the right or wrong reasons. And Ben Roethlisberger, I do really believe he has tried to defend his name, but again, not saying he's not trying, but how long does it take for the message to get delivered? That's where we all need to look at the end of the day. Let's get some other topics. So again, whistle or non-whistle? Whistle, of course, if you like it. Non-whistle, what do you think? Donte Moncrief be a deep threat? I'm going to say for this year, I'm going to say whistle. I think he's going to be, like I said, a key guy that gets some good clutch third down catches. I mean, when you look at him overall, Donte Moncrief, who's looking to make a contributing effort out of his team, and I think he's going to be all right. I mean, his overall clutch percentage is about barely 58%. Versus a guy like, say, a JuJu Smith-Schuster, who's on this team, about 69. So when I see 58%, that also kind of tells me that it's going to be a little bit of a time and patience type year. And I do believe that. And that's definitely some truth right there. I mean, if you ask me, but I think Donte Moncrief, I think he's going to be, if anything, more than a mentor to the guys like a James Washington, to a Deontay Johnson, guys like them. And I think that's where he's going to make his presence felt. So I think that's as far as he's going to go. But at the same time, too, when you look at a guy like Donte Moncrief, I mean, what else is he really good for? I mean, obviously, he hasn't had any returns that I could see of, like, in his career. Barely, if any. But, like I said, he should be more like a third down catch guy. I don't see him being a deep threat, unfortunately. He's going to be a guy that helps make some key blocks and catches along, at times called when the play calling of Randy Fichtner. Let's go to the other topic right now, too, for whistle or non-whistle. Are you a big believer in the Steelers' youth right now at this point in time? With likes of guys like James Washington, then, of course, you got Switzer at 24, JuJu Smith-Schuster at 22, Eli Rogers at 26 years old, Donte Moncrief at 26, Deontay Johnson at 22, James Conner at 24, Jalen Samuels, 22 years old, Benjamin Snell at 21, Vance McDonald at 28, Xavier Gribble 26, Zach Gentry at 22. So pretty much around like the mid-20s as you take a look at it. And I think definitely this is going to be a real decent sign right now. I think if there's anything, one thing when you're a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, pretty much towards the end of your career, and you look at, say, like maybe like a Tom Brady, and by no means I'm comparing him to Tom Brady and saying he's on his level. But I do believe this, when you're at a certain point at the end of your career, even guys like Drew Brees. I mean, think about this. I mean, when you had a guy like an Alvin Kamara at your time in that year, I mean, who definitely helped a lot of things with the offense. I mean, that was a huge, not only in their run, but their catching overall. I mean, for the New Orleans Saints and what they're able to do, I mean, at that point in time, I think when you really look at it, Alvin Kamara, who in his 2 seasons with the Saints, not just as a running back, but as a pass catcher, averaged 2, a number 2 receiver. So I really believe when you're, like I said, when you're at the twilight of your career and coming up towards the end, I think you'd like to have nice young bucks kind of make the quarterback give a little bit more extra spark of energy. I really do believe that. So again, whistle or non-whistle on the youth of this team that's going to carry them, and whistle or non-whistle that from Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, we're going to see the new dynamic duel eventually in JuJu Smith-Schuster and James Conner. Again, if you want to dial in, the number to be reached is 312-209-2232. You can also follow me at Project Richie. Check out my Instagram page, Men of Steel Nation, and of course, my YouTube channel that I'm also streaming live on as well, Men of Steel Podcast. And that's how I really got to take a look at it for right now at this point in time. So I just feel like just make them feel a little bit extra young. Make them feel like a little bit more excitement, a lot more stuff to like prove with the team. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who are tuning in live right now to the Men of Steel Podcast. And shout out to all the people so far, like the page, Melissa Hartman, Deborah, Audrey, and Patty. I just want to thank you to everybody so far for pressing the like button. Take the time to view right now. Thank you very much. Definitely means a lot right here. We got a lot more stuff to get into on this podcast edition right now. as we are continuing in the offseason. Also, let's also look at this right now as we're getting ready to go in. Now, one thing I noticed that caught my eye as I was getting ready to come in here and get ready to do this podcast, did a little research on, was the grades of the AFC North so far in the offseason. And this was written by Ryan Wilson of CBSSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Ryan Wilson CBS. And about the grades right now. So right now, the highest grade, believe it or not, a lot of people were picking to win the division, which I would not be surprised, but I doubt it though. And as one thing, when you go for a lot of years of losing and being in the playoffs one time, you know who I'm talking about, the Cleveland Browns. They still don't know that feeling, what's like to get to that next step of winning big. They got an A so far. Everyone else, C's, which of course is the Steelers so far, C+, C+ for the Ravens, and C- for the Bengals, which, by the way, they're going to be going into their first season without head coach Marvin Lewis, as a matter of fact. As we take a look at it for the Bengals, and of course, as we take a look at it, their new head coach, which, by the way, came from Sean McVay's LA Rams, Zach Taylor. I mean, Zach Taylor, I think right now has got a lot of stuff to do right now. I think so far starting in the right direction so far. I mean, you're pretty much moving on from some of Marvin Lewis's key guys so far. I mean, so you already moved on from tight end Tyler Kroft, linebacker, Montez Burfict, who a lot of people has still been a big-time foreign in Steeler fans' eyes. Obviously, no doubt the history there. Ironically, reunited with Antonio Brown, but for the first time teaming up together. Go figure that. With the Raiders, he also had like an offensive tackle, Cedrico. And then here's some of the key rookies that they got on here. Offensive tackle, Jonah Williams. Tight end, Drew Sample. Linebacker, Jermaine Pratt. Quarterback, Ryan Finley. And I think Ryan Finley is definitely going to be an interesting one. Is he going to be one of the guys that pushes a guy like Andy Dalton at this point in time? I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I think Ryan Finley, who right now, at this point in time, who's coming in to the Bengals, who drafted in the fourth round of the 2019 NFL draft at 104th overall, North Carolina State. And he's at an advanced age for a rookie after spending 6 years in college, so 24 years old. But they say he's got an NFL level frame at 6'4", 213 pounds. But the only thing that he needs to really start working on is the arm strength, and I'd give that some time. But I think definitely right now, one of the things I like about him so far is his accuracy and his feel for the game. He completed over 65% of his passes in each of his last 2 seasons in college. And they're anticipating to be Andy Dalton's backup. But any assumption that he's going to be the heir apparent since Cincinnati is likely too optimistic. So that's going to be a thing to watch out for. Will Andy Dalton start to slip up? Will we start seeing emerge with a new quarterback in Cincinnati right there? A new rival, so to speak, coming up for the Steelers to watch out for. I mean, when you look at it. I mean, I definitely got to tell you right now. I mean, Ryan Finley, who knows? That could be like the new Steelers-Bengals rivalry saga right there in itself. Then, of course, let's take a look at the Browns. Obviously make a big-time play in the offseason. When you look at, too, shocked a lot of people when they signed and via trade an Odell Beckham Jr., which, by the way, came over and almost seemed like it was Christmas early, or like not Christmas, but more like a birthday party bash for the Browns. who, by the way, like I said, you're trying to wipe away a painful poor century, especially the last 2 decades since coming back to Cleveland. Only time being in the playoffs in 2002, not having a playoff win since coming back. I mean, their last glory days behind them was with Bernie Kosar, which, by the way, the Browns, who last won the division, it wasn't the AFC North, but it was the AFC Central. The last time they did that, 1989. And who they happened to lose to along the way to try and gain some Super Bowl? The Denver Broncos by Captain Comeback and John Elway. So I definitely feel like they're waiting a long time, but like I said, I caution to see how they're going to do on the winning side of it. Like I said, it's one thing to change a misery of losing, but it's another thing to know how to win big. And I definitely feel that's one thing you have to be a little bit more cautious sports. Knowing how to win and get to that next step, I definitely feel like is a big time key. No doubt about it. And like I said, they're the ones who got in like A so far. And I can't say I blame them. Like they always say, hard work pays off, dreams do come true, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. But we'll wait and see on the Browns. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Let's not jump ahead. I'm not going to lie to you. They've definitely been showing some improvement. The only thing I still disagree with is why would you can your guy, Greg Williams, who nearly brought that team back from the dead and gave them a slimmest of hope within the final 2 weeks that they could have made the playoffs. So instead, you got your guy in Kitchens now as the head coach. Why? Because he has a good quarterback relationship with Baker Mayfield. Doesn't make any sense. To me, it's the same old Browns until proven otherwise. Get rid of the coach, solve our issue. We shall see. And I think that's one thing that's a little bit alarming for me at this point in time. And you got to be very careful with that. I just don't agree with breaking up momentum. Now let's get to the Ravens side, what they've been doing all off season. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens, who are, by the way, the AFC North defending division champions right now. I mean, they're definitely clearly staking that claim that they run the North for the time being, and they should. But I'm not going to lie to you, too. Not having a guy like Ozzie Newsome anymore, I'm not going to lie to you. As a guy who watched Steelers for most of my life and like appreciating this rival, I'm not going to lie to you. I think Ozzie Newsome more as an executive was definitely more a little bit forward in Steelers' eyes as well. Able to pair up 2 Super Bowls in the span of 13 years. Obviously, he did something right. I mean, as a guy like Devin Bush, is he going to be like the game changer for the Steelers, like how Ray Lewis was? I mean, a lot of stuff to think of. And then speaking of which, let's take a look at the Ravens' losses so far that they had. They lost defensive end Darius Smith, linebacker C.J. Mosley, defensive end Terrell Suggs, safety Eric Weddle. But key rookies that they were pick up from the draft, wide receiver Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, who are both receivers. Then, of course, you got defensive end Dalen Ferguson, running back Justice Hill, and, of course, quarterback Trace McSorley. I mean, this has been clearly a move for the Ravens that this is going to become Lamar Jackson's team. They're going to build the offense in him. I will say one thing that they're definitely on the right path so far with the Ravens. I mean, when you look at it too, having a good running game. And, of course, look at a guy like Mark Ingram. And I think when you have a quarterback that runs like that, I think Mark Ingram is that you always want to have a good quarterback to complement a good running quarterback. Even though he can make some passes, but so far a lot of it where he's been doing his damage for is running. Why not have that running combination with him? And I think he's going to definitely have a good, solid time with him. And, well, what can you say? I mean, this is another guy who could also catch and run the ball and do a lot of damage right here. And I gotta believe he's definitely gonna do some good stuff. I mean, pretty much this guy who has career year. I mean, when you think about it, in 2017, 1,124 yards rushing with 12 touchdowns. Ran for as long as 72 yards. That was the 2017 season. And by the way, too, was able to catch 416 receiving yards. So definitely a career yard for scrimmage yards. 1,540 is his career high. So watch out for that. And also, last but not least, get to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, we know their key losses for the Steelers was, of course, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell first, and eventually Antonio Brown after the big-time beef that was building up with Antonio Brown, his quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, for so many years, especially more so following the Week 16 heartbreaking loss to the Saints in New Orleans. And you continue to look at it, I mean, those are basically the key losses they had. And, of course, safety Morgan Burnett, too. Morgan Burnett, I want to say right now, who is no longer with the Steelers, and I think he's in the AFC North right now. He is a safety for the Cleveland Browns. Watch out for him. This guy, he definitely feels like he was misplayed, not to what he was. And he was definitely a little disappointed with how the Steelers utilized him in his career. I mean, a guy who most of his career was playing free safety and stuff. More so did more strong safety. And he definitely felt like he definitely got misused, got misplayed. And don't forget, too, he only started 2 games and played in 11 games. So it wasn't really much of a successful experiment with the season that the Steelers had in mind when they signed him in the 2018 offseason. But then again, you look at some of the key additions for the Steelers, and when you recap everything, I mean, like I said, Donte Moncrief, wide receiver, linebacker, Mark Barron, quarterback, Steven Nelson. And if you had to choose between those three, I'll probably have to go with linebacker Mark Barron, to be honest with you. I think it's probably going to be like the stronger candidate out of those three, especially coming from a good Rams defense. And then, of course, you got key rookies who you got in here. Of course, obviously, the no-brainer slam dunk, Devin Bush, linebacker, who's going to probably end up, like I said, getting a headset in his helmet. Then, of course, wide receiver Deontay Johnson, quarterback Justin Lane, and one of the sleepers in this draft, running back Benjamin Snell. I mean, I know a lot has been said about Deontay Johnson, and I think it's just more so because of his special teams. But I think Benjamin Snell right now, which, by the way, James Conner is very open to, who doesn't care. He feels like he should not have to be earning – he hasn't earned anything yet. That's a lot of good humbleness right there. That's what I'm talking about with the Steelers team. I think a lot of fans like to hear that everybody's all in as long as guys do their job effectively. And last topic I want to get into is T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt right now, who is ready for a leadership role. And one of the things I want to pitch to you guys real quick, what do you guys think? Do you think at the end of the preseason, and this is my prediction, I would say he'll probably be named one of the captains coming up in the Steelers season, in my opinion. I mean, when you look at the team captain history, I mean, of course, Ben Roethlisberger, he's like an 8-time captain so far. 8 straight years. You look at the previous captains from last year, Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Hayward, which, by the way, is a 4-time captain. Marquise Pouncey earned his first captainship last year. And, of course, kicker Chris Boswell. And I really got to believe right now, T.J. Watt seems to be the guy who has, like, the want, the will, everything, and the firepower where he wants to keep everything at. And I think definitely he's the guy who wants to step up. He wants to continue to take the next elevated steps, what he's got to do for this team. And this is one guy who I anticipate the Kings like better once again. And I really think so. But again, let's see how this goes. I think TJ Watt is definitely someone special. In my opinion, I think he's definitely one of the guys who could be like one of the nice headsets in his ear. I got a couple of comments right here, real quick. Comes from let's check out Derek Upshur. He said Cleveland has more prices, but they're giving the Browns too much hype. We have the best quarterback in the division. If Nelson Bush show up, it will be special. I definitely can't agree with you anymore, right there, Derek. I don't feel like that. But again, I mean, Browns right now, too. I mean, I think they got some good pieces on their defense when you look at everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm still probably leaning towards the Steelers a little bit, but I'm not going to be surprised if we see a little bit of change. Much people don't want to see it, like it or not. I just feel right now, with the function of a guy like JuJu Smith-Schuster and James Conner, it's going to probably be like 2013 in a way. Not so much like 8-8, but it's be trial and error and patience with these guys. I think they're doing some great things, but it's going to take time for them to evolve. I'll say no later than 2020, we'll see them explode as long as Ben's still there. I'm hoping I'm wrong on that. Hopefully it's this year. We'll see about that as we take a look at everything. I just want to say thank you very much for coming in. He does also leave one more thing, pieces. And he also did say Donte Moncrief is a chain mover and playmaker when he has a quarterback. Yeah, that's true. But again, I'm not sure about him being a deep threat. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking too. More of a third down type of guy that makes key grabs or get those extra yards for moving the chains. And I'm definitely going to agree with it right there. So again, agree or disagree real quick. Or let's shoot. Should we say from earlier, whistle or non-whistle? Do you think a guy like TJ Watt, yes or no, he will become one of the team captains on this team at the end of preseason with Ben Roethlisberger, more than likely a Cam Hayward? We'll see. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for another edition of the Men's Steel Podcast. I just want to say thank you very, very much for tuning in and saying all the comments, the likes, the feedbacks. Definitely been amazing. It's always my pleasure to serve you guys here every week and to keep everyone in tune. And as always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I go.